Oh, hello. You're interested in Dickens? Well, I am too. My name is Charlie Marley, and I'm here to explore the icon that is Charles Dickens and the man behind the name. I've pickwicked through some papers, heard A Tale of Two Cities. I spoke to Carol at Christmas. I have great expectations of my visit to Rochester because it's full of old curiosity shops. And guess what? Not a bleak house in sight. I'm here to see whether Dickens went around the twist like Oliver, or whether our mutual friend fell on hard times. Let's take a look behind the name. Now, it's hard to believe that I'm currently walking in the birthplace of Charles Dickens, and that's because I'm not. That's in Portsmouth, and that's out of our budget, and quite frankly, nothing special. Well, apart from the hovercraft. Here I am in Rochester, Dickens' favourite town, and also his place of death. Yes, Dickens is dead. He died in 1870 at the young age of 58. God, that's nearly twice my age. This documentary will explore all of Dickens and conclude with what I really think of him. Known as a historic town due to having the second oldest cathedral in England, founded in 604 AD, but why is this of any relevance? Well, Dickens moved to nearby town Chatham, known for the big Primark and substance abuse, in 1817. No wonder in his later years, when he had some money, he fled quicker than an immigrant to get out of the ghetto and into London. But he never stopped having that fond affair with Rochester, the better-looking part of Medway. Here I am outside this crusty building, which was once Charles Dickens' very own writing chalet, and also a flat pack, whatever that is. This was taken, along with many other items, from his home and brought here to Eastgate Gardens, along with, well, this well, because Dickens needed to drink water to be able to live. Morning, Bruce.
Morning.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
So here we are in the gorgeous Eastgate Gardens. There's Dickens' chalet. And what I'd like to ask you is, what was Dickens like as a boy, and did he smell bad?
Yeah, it's a good place to start. Personal hygiene. Probably he did.
Did Dickens want to be an actor? Is that true?
So acting was his first love. It's not particularly high profile. People think of Dickens as a great author, which he was. But he'd acted all his life in an amateur way. And
so he was quite a fake person. What we'd say nowadays, perhaps Dickens was two-faced?
Multifaceted, I would call it.
Multifaceted.
Multi-talented.
Okay. So Miss Twinkleton, who's in The Mystery of Edwin Drood, she was one of those littler characters. Was she a fancy Nancy? Now, what I mean by fancy Nancy is, you probably know Nancy. She's the one that said, "As long as he needs me," and that sort of thing.
Yeah, she did, didn't she?
She did.
That was the Nancy from Oliver Twist.
Who was Carol? Christmas Carol? Who was Carol? And was she married to Scrooge?
Didn't get that far, really.
It didn't get that far. Well, their relationship broke down.
Yeah.
Carol and Scrooge never got it on.
No.
Okay, so women back then, the idea was women were to look pretty, stand in the corner and shut your flap. Now, I don't know about you, Bruce, but if you said to me, now, stand in the corner, wear something nice and shut your flap, and then expected me to be all willing to procreate, I don't know, I think I'd be dry as a cat's tongue. How did they manage back then?
Well, how do you think?
I don't know. Here I am in the Vines, a park in Rochester where Dickens would walk to inspire his work. Dickens wrote about Rochester in many of his books. However, he would change the names as he was afraid that people would not be interested in reading books based in Medway. Understandable. However, walking through this park does inspire one to imagine what's in Dickens' books. Just across the way we have Restoration House that features in Great Expectations as Satis House, the home of Miss Havisham. It's been said that 3 days before Dickens died, he stood right here in this park looking across at Restoration House while still writing The Mystery of Edwin Drood. That way, the ending really was a mystery, as it was unfinished. However, in this book, he wrote his last description of Rochester. A brilliant morning shines on the old city. Its antiquities and ruins are surpassingly beautiful, with lush ivy gleaming in the sun and the rich trees waving in the balmy air. As you can tell, we get great weather here in Britain. Dickens loved many places in Kent, and he was known for his love of the seaside town of Broadstairs. In fact, it was in front of this Dickens museum, how convenient, that he met a woman who chased some donkeys down this road right here, and that inspired the character Betsy Trotwood in David Copperfield. What an enthralling story. Anyway, coming inside this museum really transports you back to when Dickens was alive. I mean, look at this writing slope that Dickens used. He was so environmentally conscious that he even used a quill instead of a biro. Now, I have been given permission by the museum to have a look at this very rare copy of the Pickwick Papers. I just need to put these gloves on before I can handle this sacred book. Oh, look at it. Oh, it feels so precious in my hands. Oh, and the smell. Oh, it smells just like the care home my granddad Phil is banged up in, but without the shit. Let's meet our next Dickens know-it-all, Richard. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Charlie.
Lovely to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you too, yeah.
So, Richard, why should I and my viewers, if you could just look down that camera and say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Why should we care about Dickens? What is so special about him?
It's the world he created, his stories, his characters, which lived in his books, the films and plays that came from it.
Dickens had 10 children, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then ran off with that actress.
Ellen Turner, yeah.
But do you think it was always his plan to gad off after he'd had 10 children with one woman, go and get a new model?
I doubt it. I think he sort of was following an impulse type thing.
He certainly put the dick in Dickens, didn't he?
He did.
He did. Now, let me tell you about my granddad Phil. Now, at the moment, he hasn't got a clue who he is. He's in a care home, knows nothing. But when I was a child, he was a very wise man. And I will never forget him saying to me, Charlie, when you get past 5, it's like chucking a sausage up Oxford Street.
Right.
Now, was that something to do with it? And how can we be sure? Charles Dickens was a small but complex man, a bit like Danny DeVito. Standing at only 5 feet 8 inches tall, it's no wonder he had glasses this small. Just take a look at these. In here, we also have a teeny tiny book that he would have read as a child, some handcuffs that he would have used to tie up his mistress when they were having kinky time. Arrgh. Oh, in here we also have the actual pair of scissors that were used to circumcise Charles Dickens. Ouch. And over here we have a pile of his cum socks. Now, I cannot begin to describe to you the stench that is coming from this schism of jism, and that's because they've kindly covered it in glass. Hi, Penny. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
So, Dickens liked Rochester, didn't he?
Liked it. He absolutely loved it. He came here a lot when he was a child. His father worked as a paymaster for the Navy, and he lived in Chatham, and he used to walk up and down in Rochester. And yes, he really did like it.
So that's why when he died, he asked to be buried in the cathedral, isn't it?
Yeah, but he couldn't.
He couldn't?
Well, not in the grounds, no, it wasn't.
But that's where he asked to be buried.
Yeah, no, that wasn't possible. They weren't burying any more people in the grounds, but they were going to put him in the cathedral. In fact, they actually dug a grave for him in the cathedral.
Well, where was he buried?
He was buried in Westminster Abbey in Poets' Corner.
What?
He didn't really want that, but...
Is there a possibility that he might not be dead? Only because my uncle's niece's cousin called Janet, she said that she saw him loitering in the Spoons in Maidstone.
No, he's in a grave in Westminster Abbey.
This is Gad's Hill Place. Dickens' ex bought this 10 years before he died. It is said that as a child he walked past this very house and told his dodgy dad that he wanted to live in this very building. But he was a child, so he couldn't. But it's very full circle, very full circle. Fucking shit. The main house dates back to the Georgian era. However, Dickens fitted many extensions to cater for his 10 children and his pets and their graves. Now, in here is his study, not like a biological study, but his study where he would study. I mean, this room is beautiful. I can really feel his presence here. It's as if he's here with me, inside me. Oh, look at this door with all of these books, but not just any books, but Pacific comedy books, which Dickens chose due to his love of the satire genre. I mean, this room. Oh, I feel like I've aged just walking in it. I mean, look at this desk. It's so picturesque. And that's because it is. And therefore I must recognise the fantastic efforts of the school who've been running it for years. Dickens loved natural light. He abhorred anything artificial, unlike his marriage. Hence, these enormous windows and these mirrors. Oh, fucking stated it. Why didn't somebody tell me I look this bad? Makeup, I need makeup. Look away, look away. Hi, Steve. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, and welcome to Gad's Hill.
Thank you. So, Steve, what is this? Is this daywear, loungewear, evening wear, mono wear, software, hardware, betterware? What is that?
This would be classed in Dickens' time as sort of daywear.
Daywear. So this is what Dickens would have worn during the day.
Yes.
So, how do you think he would feel about his home now being a school? Now, I know obviously he loved children, hence the double digits, but how would he feel about it now being a school?
He wrote lots of articles and about championing the cause of children, education for children. He was against the young age groups and the standard of work that was going on in the mines, and education was high on his list.
Right. I noted that in this room there are a lot of comedy and satire books. Why is that?
He was very much into humour, and you may have noticed the false bookends on the door as you came in. But
they're not false. What do you mean false?
Yeah.
They're not false. There is no way they're false. That is quite special, right? Because that doorway, that could explode at any moment, right?
It could explode when someone come roaring in through it.
Could we say, because Dickens loved comedy, could we say that Dickens is a joke?
You could, but I wouldn't.
No?
No.
So So what else did Dickens like to do, other than writing, which he did a lot of? What did he enjoy doing?
He would often walk 10 miles in an afternoon.
Wow.
And if someone went with him, they would say often, his son for instance, would fall a few steps back.
So when he went on that sort of 10-mile walk, that's a long walk. That could have been Bleak House. Now, the only reason I mention Bleak House is because I've just finished Bleak House. It took me 3.5 months to read it, and it was like a marathon. But all the way, Steve, all I kept thinking is, why does Dickens have to write this small? Why did he write that small?
Yes, depends, maybe you had a cheaper edition.
Cheap. Dickens died here, on a chaise lounge just like this one, aged just 58 years old. He died from a stroke, although the actual cause of his death is still mysterious. We do not know who or what he was stroked by in order to cause his death. However, he encountered unspecified but unpleasant and persistent symptoms, and these were likely the effect of gonor hee-ha. Bet he wishes he didn't cheat on Catherine now. Many people find it disturbing that Dickens died exactly 5 years after the Staplehurst train crash that he was involved in. It is also said that he was ill for those last 5 years. Do you not think it's strange that Dickens died exactly 5 years after the Staplehurst crash?
Yes, but it was 5 years, so the train crash didn't actually cause him to die.
But it was to the day.
Yes, it was.
Is that not a sign?
Well, there's 365 of them.
As I stand in this room, the very room that Charles Dickens died in, I can almost feel him here with me. His spirit lives on to this day, and as he now inhabits this school, his memory lives on for children to learn about. Though hopefully not the gonor hee-ha part, right? Well, I have discovered in depth the man that is Charles Dickens. Yes, he was an amazing author that reflected the Victorian era massively in his work, creating characters and stories that many have loved. He started with very little and became enormous, a bit like his family tree. Dickens was someone that was seen to be looked up to. They say that Dickens created the modern Christmas, along with Carol, and portrayed just how brutal Victorian life could be, especially for young children. However, Dickens had an affair with Ellen Turner. She was 27 years younger than him. Considering his wife had 10 children with him, any man would be stupid to take on a woman that strong. He banished her and didn't even let her know when one of her children had died. For me, and what I have learned, I think of Dickens as a man. A no doubt talented man who wrote many great stories, but in my eyes, I can't help but refer to him as Dickens the Dick. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Behind the Name with me, Charlie Marley.